Hello friends, hope you are fine. Today the podcast is about Rahu in 12th house. As I mentioned that Rahu in the malefic houses does not give any positive result, because it being the planet of malefic nature, it activates the negative significations of the malefic houses. So don't expect any positive result out of Rahu. This in the 12th house. Now, as I mentioned that Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, one can't expect anything positive out of it. If it is afflicting, the problem is more, the problem is severe. So if it is afflicting, it makes one drug addict, isn't it? One becomes gambler, and one has to face expenses and losses, and there are threats of imprisonment also, and there is problem with parents, problem with domestic peace, mental peace, hypertension, uh, problems with respect to sleep, isn't it? One also uh, faces nightmares also. So these are the basic results when Rahu is afflicting its house of placement in the 12th house. Now in case Rahu is not afflicting, to some extent, in extreme exceptional cases, depending on the overall nature of chart, during Antardasha of Rahu, one may visit for foreign lands. It may take the native to foreign lands, but the other determinants of foreign land or foreign settlement in the chart should be strong. The other determinants of foreign travel, however, Mars should be utterly strong in the chart. However, in if Jupiter gives close aspect to Jupiter, that will control Jupiter to the great extent, or Saturn gives close aspect to Jupiter, sorry, Rahu, that will control Rahu to the great extent. But here we can't recommend Hazonite gemstone at all, because it will only activate the negative significations of the 12th house, and that are expenses, that are losses. So one can't bear such negative significations. So here what you can do, you can do the charities for Rahu. That is what comprises the scope of astrology. So for upcoming videos, do subscribe the channel necessarily in order to get update for the upcoming videos like this. Rahu in the 12th house in case of Taurus ascendant is again a problem, because as I mentioned, Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, and when it's placed in any of the malefic houses, it activates only the negative significations of these houses, and one can't expect anything positive out of it. Other houses, although apart from malefic houses, it gives positive results as well, but in this house, 12th house being the malefic house, it can't give any result at all. Good result is not expected. So if Rahu is afflicting its house of placement, one becomes a drug addict, a gambler, and there are threats of imprisonment, there are expenses and losses, and there are disturbed mental peace, a problem with parents, and there are losses due to fire and theft also, and one faces problems in sleep. There is hypertension also. One also faces nightmares. So other significations depend on the strength of other charts. However, if Rahu is not afflicting, it may take one to foreign land also. However, the strength of Mars should be there. Mars should be utterly strong in order to control the impact of Rahu in the 12th house in this case. And in case Saturn gives close aspect to Rahu, that will lessen the impact of Rahu in the chart. So these are the main results of Rahu, and if it is not afflicting, the results will be same. One thing may be positive, that in case of foreign travel during the Antardasha of Rahu, if Rahu is not afflicting its house of placement in the 12th house, it may take one to foreign lands. But it should be kept in mind here, in case of Taurus ascendant, that Mars should be utterly strong in the chart. So it depends overall the nature of the chart. How will be the nature of chart, what are the different aspects, what are the different conjunctions, and what are the different orbits of the chart. So that will determine the overall fate of the chart. So do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this. Gemini ascendant, as it gives good results in case of Gemini ascendant, but the placement of Rahu in 12th house is not a well placement, because Rahu activates only the negative significations in this house. As I mentioned, that Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, one can't expect anything positive out of it, and its placement in the malefic houses is a problem. Here we can't strengthen Rahu because it will activate the negative significations of these houses. So if Rahu is placed and it's afflicting its house of placement in the 12th house, one becomes drug addict, one becomes a gambler, and there are expenses and losses. There is hypertension, there is loss of domestic peace, mental peace, a problem with parents, problem with sleep, isn't it? One has to face nightmares also, and here it becomes exalted, so it will create more problems, isn't it? In case of exaltation, it will strengthen itself, especially when it's afflicting its house of placement. Rahu will strengthen itself by its placement, if it is afflicting its house of placement. So being in the house, it is strengthening its own house, isn't it? So in this case, it becomes a matter of concern for the native. However, if it is not afflicting the negative signification, these results will repeat. Only one signification will be positive, may be positive, that one may reach to foreign, one may go to foreign lands, given that other configurations, Saturn is utterly strong in the chart, Jupiter is utterly strong in the chart. So however, if close aspect of Jupiter goes to Saturn, goes to Rahu, or close aspect of Saturn goes to Rahu, that will lessen the impact of Rahu in the chart. However, the proper charities, proper remedies in terms of charities and other remedies should be followed by the native if Rahu is placed in the 12th house and it's afflicting its house of placement. Now, if it is not afflicting, the results will be negative, as I mentioned, with one positive, that one may visit foreign, as I repeat. So do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this. Now, Gemini ascendant, as I've said, that Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature. Its placement in the 12th house is not a good placement because it activates the negative significations of these houses. The reason being that Rahu does not possess any sign. If it would have been a planet like other planets, so it would have activated the significations of its house of placement, isn't it? Of its house of lordship. But it does not have any house of lordship. It does not rule any house, isn't it? It's not the lord of any house. So that is the problem with the Rahu and Ketu. So in case of Rahu is placed in 12th house, it is afflicting its house of placement. One has to face, one will be a drug addict, a gambler. He will have hypertension. One has to face losses and expenses. There are problems with respect to sleep. There are nightmares, problem with respect to domestic peace, mental peace, problems to parents, and threats of imprisonment are there. However, if Rahu is not afflicting its house of placement, then there are issues of the same significations. The results will be same. One result will be positive, and that depends on the other planet's strength also, and one may visit foreign lands. One may visit foreign lands during Antardasha of Rahu. If Rahu is strong and Rahu is not afflicting its house of placement, and neither Rahu is afflicting any of the planet associated with foreign land, isn't it? So these are the results. Now what to do? You can't remove Rahu from 12th house, but you can remove the maleficence of Rahu by resorting to the proper remedies in terms of charities, etc. So this is what comprises the scope of astrology. Do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this. Now, Leo ascendant, in case of Leo ascendant, Rahu placed in the 12th house. As I mentioned, that Rahu's placement in the malefic houses is not a good placement at all, because Rahu does not possess any sign. So it is a planet of general malefic nature. One can't expect anything positive out of it like other planets. If it is afflicting its house of placement in the 12th house, the native will be drug addict, a gambler. There are threats of imprisonment. There will be expenses and losses, and there are problems with mental peace, domestic peace, problems with parents. One will have hypertension also, and one will have to face expenses and losses, and there are nightmares also, and one becomes quite materialistic by this placement. So these are the severe problems that one has to face from Rahu in 12th house. If Rahu is not afflicting its house of placement, the results will be same, with one difference, that if Moon is utterly strong in the chart and Rahu is not afflicted in the chart and Rahu is quite strong, one may visit foreign lands during Antardasha of Rahu. So because Rahu associated with the houses of foreign travel, it indicates foreign travel. So these are the main points. Do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this. For Leo ascendants, if Jupiter gives close aspect to Rahu, that will control Rahu. If Saturn gives close aspect to Rahu, that will control Rahu, isn't it? If Sun gives close aspect to Rahu, that will control Rahu. So these are the main rather what would I say, that these are the main points that have to be considered regarding about Rahu in 12th house. Now Virgo ascendant gives good results in Virgo Lagna so far as Rahu is concerned, but as I mentioned that Rahu's placement in the malefic houses is not a good placement, because here it only gives negative, it does not give any positive result at all. So its placement in the 12th house is a problem, and as I mentioned that Rahu in the malefic houses activates the negative significations, so it's a planet of general malefic nature. So if it is afflicting its house of placement in the 12th house, one will be a drug addict, a gambler, and the native will have to face losses and expenses. There are problems with foreign travel as well. There are problems of hypertension and threats of imprisonment, problems with sleep, nightmares will be there, problems with domestic peace, disturbance of mental peace, and problems with parents. So these are the main problems that one have to face out of Rahu when it's afflicting its house of placement in the 12th house. However, if Rahu is not afflicting its house of placement, results will be negative again, but that will activate during the Antardasha of Rahu. And if Rahu is strong in this chart and Sun is also strong in this chart, it will safeguard the significations of the 12th house, and during the Antardasha of Rahu, one may visit foreign lands, foreign places as well. So these are the main results. However, if Jupiter and Saturn rather or Mercury that give close aspect to Rahu, that will control Rahu in the chart. Now in this case, Rahu can be controlled. The effect of Rahu can be, if any Virgo is undergoing Mahadasha of Rahu or Antardasha of Rahu for a long time, Rahu can be controlled with the help of gemstone in case of Virgo ascendant. So do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos. Now Libra ascendant chart, in case Rahu is placed in 12th house and in case Rahu is placed in malefic houses, it does not give good results at all. So Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, as I mentioned. So if it is afflicting its house of placement in the 12th house, the person becomes gambler and cheater and drug addict also, and there are threats of imprisonment, hypertension, problems with sleep, psychological disturbances, and nightmares also one has to face. There are problems with parents, disturbance in mental peace, domestic harmony. So these are the main results. However, if Rahu is not afflicting its house of placement, the results will repeat. However, if Mercury is utterly strong in the chart and Rahu is not afflicted, Rahu is utterly strong in the chart, and during its Antardasha it may move the native to foreign places. So this is one positive, but under exceptional cases depending on the overall nature of the chart. So these are the main results of Rahu. So do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this. In case of Scorpio ascendant chart, so as I said that Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, one can't expect anything positive out of it, and especially in case of its placement in the malefic houses, it does not give any positive result at all, it only gives negative results. So if it is afflicting its house of placement in the 12th house, it activates the negative significations. One becomes drug addict, gambler, cheater, highly materialistic, and there are threats of imprisonment. There are losses and expenses that one have to face. There are problems with sleep, psychological problems, and hypertension, problems with parents, disturbance in mental peace, domestic harmony. So these are the main results. However, if it is not afflicting, so during its Antardasha, given Rahu is utterly strong in the chart, it may move the native to foreign places, but under given conditions depending on overall nature of the chart. However, if Jupiter gives close aspect to Rahu, that will control Rahu, or Saturn gives close aspect to Rahu, that will control Rahu in the chart. So these are the main results of Rahu in the 12th house in case of Scorpio ascendant. Do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this. Now Sagittarius ascendant in case of Rahu is placed in the 12th house. It is a problem here. It is a double problem in case of Sagittarius ascendant. Why? Because Rahu is getting debilitated, and debilitated malefic planet creates multiple problems. So if such a native goes under the Mahadasha of Rahu, he will be in problems. There will be losses, expenses. I'll explain. So if Rahu is placed in malefic houses, it's a problem because it activates only negative significations, being a planet of general malefic nature. So if it afflicts its house of placement in the 12th house in case of Sagittarius ascendant chart, one becomes drug addict, gambler, cheater, highly materialistic, and there are expenses and losses, and there is hypertension also, and problems with sleep, and problems with parents, disturbance of mental peace, domestic harmony, threats of imprisonment are also there. So these are the main results that one has to face. Impediments in foreign travel as well. So the results will be worsened, especially during Mahadasha of Rahu or Antardasha of Rahu. So these results will be there because Rahu here is debilitated. And if Rahu is not afflicting its house of placement, still the results will be negative. There will be no positive result at all in this case, because the debilitated Rahu creates worst problems in the life of native. So here, what is the solution? Solution is nothing. Solution is the charities, remedies in terms of charities for Rahu, and other remedies, consistent and regular remedies. So that will be fruitful for the native. The results will be there. And these are the main points. Do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this. Now Capricorn ascendant, Rahu gives good results in Capricorn ascendant as well. However, if Rahu is placed in the 12th house, it being the malefic house, and Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, which does not possess any sign at all. So Rahu here activates the negative significations of the 12th house only. So if Rahu afflicts its house of placement in the 12th house, it leads to drug addiction. One becomes a drug addict and gambler, a cheater, highly materialistic, and threats of imprisonment are there, losses and expenses one has to face. And there are problems with the parents, problems with domestic peace, domestic harmony, problems with there are problems of hypertension, psychological problems with sleep, nightmares. And so these are the main problems out of Rahu in the 9th house. However, in 12th house, however, if Jupiter is utterly strong in the chart, that will safeguard the significations of the 12th house. In case in case Saturn gives close aspect to Rahu, that will control the malefic influence of Rahu in the chart. But that happens occasionally, exceptionally. Now if Rahu is not afflicting its house of placement, given that Jupiter is utterly strong in the chart, one may go to foreign land during Antardasha of Rahu if Rahu is utterly strong in the chart. So these are the main results. Do subscribe the channel for the upcoming videos and hit the bell icon. Aquarius ascendant, in case of Aquarius ascendant chart, Rahu gives good results, but here in its placement in the 12th house, it won't give any good results at all, because Rahu is a planet of general malefic nature, and its placement in the 12th house in malefic houses will activate the negative significations of these houses only, because Rahu does not possess its sign. It is a signless. It does not have lordship of any house, so it is a problem in this house. So what should be done? There are remedies. One has to do remedies. If Rahu is afflicting its house of placement, one will be a drug addict, a gambler, a cheater, highly materialistic, and there are losses and expenses one has to face. There are threats of imprisonment, hypertension, problems in sleep, nightmares, problems with parents, disturbing mental peace, disturbing domestic harmony. So these are the main results when Rahu is afflicting its house of placement in the chart in 12th house in case of Aquarius ascendant. However, if close aspect of Saturn goes to Rahu, close aspect of Jupiter goes to Rahu, this will control the impact of Rahu in chart. So these are the main results of Rahu in 12th house that should be considered at a glance. Overall, it depends on the nature of chart, because every Aquarius is different, depending on the conjunctions, depending on the aspects that are different, placements are different. So although Lagna Lord is same, but it depends on other factors as well, so far as chart is concerned. Now if it's afflicting, what is the treatment, what is the remedy? You can't strengthen Rahu, you can't use Hazonite, because it will activate the negative signification. You will start facing losses. So here is a problem. So you have to do the charities for Rahu, consistent and regular charities, isn't it? So in case Rahu is not afflicting, do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this. In case Rahu is not afflicting its house of placement, the results will be negative again, with one positive. If Rahu is utterly strong in the chart and not afflicting its house of placement in the 12th house, one may visit foreign places during the Antardasha of Rahu. So these are the main results of Rahu in 12th house in case of Aquarius ascendant. Pisces ascendant, the last ball of this game of Rahu in 12th house. So 12th house is not a good placement for Rahu, especially in case of not especially in case of all ascendants. Now Rahu creates severe problems in case of one should not. So far as Pisceans are concerned, I recommend Pisces not to wear hazonite, because it will only create problems in your life. Rahu will not give any good results. I have uploaded videos from Rahu in the first house till 11th house. It's the last video of this series. So Rahu does not give good results at all in case of Pisces ascendant, irrespective of its placement in the chart. So if it is placed in the 12th house, if it is afflicting its house of placement, and one will become drug addict and a cheater, materialistic. There are threats of imprisonment, there are expenses and losses one has to face, and there are problems with sleep, hypertension, problems with parents, and mental peace, domestic peace problem, and one has to face issues out of this. So these are the main issues that one has to face during in such a situation where Rahu is afflicting its house of placement. However, if Saturn is utterly strong in the chart, that will safeguard the safeguard the significations of 12th house. Now in case Rahu is not afflicting and Rahu is utterly strong in the chart, during Antardasha of Rahu, one may visit foreign places. So this is something positive. But given that Saturn is utterly strong in the chart, however, in this chart, in case of Pisces, and Rahu can be controlled with the help of gemstone, isn't it? Shortcut control is there. Shortcut control is available in case of Virgo ascendant, and in case of Pisces ascendant, it can be easily controlled with the help of gem therapy in a proper and specific way. So this is all. Do subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon in order to get notified for the upcoming videos like this, isn't it? Okay, bye bye.